Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Carol Jenkins, and this is Black America. And with us today is Abby Ishola Ayodeji, an award-winning journalist who has written for many platforms and was named one of Essence Magazine's Woke 100 Women in 2017 for launching Beyond Classically Beautiful, a photo series, just fantastic, that celebrates the diverse beauty of Black women. And Abby is no stranger to the Black America family. We are delighted to have her join us to discuss her long-awaited debut novel, Patience is a Subtle Thief. And welcome, Abby.
Thank you, Carol.
This is so exciting. When I say she's no stranger to this family, we take full credit for her success. She is a part of the Black America family when we, were doing so many things before the pandemic,
Yes.
when we actually could, go out and shoot. And now you've got this fabulous new book.
I do. And I joke that I'm all yours, Carol.
That's right. That's right. We created her.
Yes.
The book has gotten such wonderful reviews. People are saying captivating, suspenseful, important in the political sphere as well as the romance, sphere. Talk to us a little bit about how you got to this theme and the importance of Nigeria and America, that sort of, geographical span in your writing.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Miami, but my family is Nigerian. And I had the privilege of living in Nigeria when I was 13. And the experience, it stayed with me. Like being there, going to school there, seeing the culture, being immersed in it. It was an experience that never left me. And at the time, it was the 90s. So the theme that I explore in the book is 1993, 92, 93, when the political landscape was really, really volatile at the time. So I wanted to be able to put story behind that, a human story behind what was going on. That's.
So it's terrific. It's a young girl named Patience, who is looking for her mother, who's been banished by her father. And I think the opening party scene is just so fabulous. You really get the sense of this girl and her half sister or stepsister and that whole family. What was expected from her by her father of her. So talk to us a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah, well, culturally in Nigeria, I think that there's a lot of that, where there's a lot of expectation to become something major. So she has that expectation on her from her father, but at the same time, she doesn't know where her mother is. She doesn't know why she was banished from her father's compound years and years ago. And her father approaches it as if she shouldn't ask any questions about it. But this affects her. She doesn't know how to move on with her life without knowing the truth about what happened to her. So I think culturally, I think we see this in America too, where patriarchy becomes, the rule of the day in certain situations. And that's what happens here with her. Her father is like, he has his foot on her, and she's trying to figure out how to rise above that.
So one reviewer described it as this wonderful romance story in a way, but also, some pretty heavy-duty street crime and gangsterism at all.
Yes.
So talk to us, and she gets herself in a bit of a fix there.
Yes. I think along the way, as she's trying to find her mother, she realizes that she needs money. And years and years ago, before the internet boom, I would say that there's this thing in Nigeria called 419. You would know it as the emails that you probably have gotten from some Nigerians asking you to send money to.
Just recently, as a matter of fact.
Right?
Right.
So I think, in America, it became this joke for Nigerians. We've seen, people do news pieces on it, how people have been cheated out of their whole life savings because of these people in Nigeria that are stealing money from people abroad. So I became really interested in that, and I wanted to know how that got started, like what happened. So as I was doing my digging, I realized that before the internet boom, there was various sorts of fraud going on in different ways. So that's what I explore in the book. But I think I wanted to know the why. Like, why would people feel this desperate, of course, to steal money from people that aren't even in your country or in your land? And of course, we know that poverty is behind it. Sometimes the greed is behind it. But also the political system in Nigeria also contributed to people getting to the point of desperation. So I wanted to put a human story behind 419 or fraud, and not just cast people away as these, fraudsters that are just stealing from Americans. So, yeah.
Right, and you do succeed. You portray well the humanity of it. But I want to know, because we've known that you've been writing this book, I want to know how you got to be so good at it, how long this took, and the research that went into it, because we're talking about a political upheaval in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So there's all of that as well as this girl's search.
Yeah.
So the idea came to you when?
Well, it came in various spurts because I've been writing this book for quite some time. The story has been with me since I was an undergrad. I won't tell you my age, but I'm no spring chicken.
Me, you're not going to tell me your age, right?
So it came to me as I had to do a first act of a screenplay in undergrad. So I started writing it in that sense of this girl who gets into these shady dealings. So it started with the 419 idea. But while I was in Nigeria, while I was living there, it was 1992 and 93, and I never forgot what happened with a man named MKO Abiola, who ran for president. And some would argue that he was kind of like the Obama of the time in Nigeria. Nigeria had been through years and years of military dictatorships, and the military promised Nigerians that, okay, we're finally going to hand it over to a civilian. So he was this multimillionaire who basically injected hope back into the people that we're going to change things, poverty will end, people will have opportunities. So everyone was really excited and everyone voted for him and that things were great, but then you should read my book to find out some of what happened.
Right, but then.
So yes.
So the idea has been with you for quite some time, but to be reminded that those ideas ultimately can result in fabulously reviewed books.
Yeah.
Ultimately, how long did you actually spend writing this version of the book?
Well, this version of the book, I would say seriously, I sat down around 9 or 8 years ago, because I remember I started before I got pregnant with my daughter, right before I got pregnant with her. And I could remember being in coffee shops when I first got pregnant, and I start falling asleep at the table, and I'm like, I can't stay awake. Right. So I put it down then, and I picked it up again, put it down again, because life happens. I had a young boy. I have a son as well, so that happened.
Meanwhile, you are being productive, working every day, having children.
Right. So it takes a while. Writing is really, really hard. And of course, as you mentioned, research goes into any story that has any sort of historical aspect to it. So I spent a lot of time researching, asking people what happened. I have a lot of friends that are Nigerian, some who lived there at the time. My husband lived there at the time. So I was able to really pick their brains and also do my own research on what took place.
Right. Well, I was recently listening to an interview with Anna Quindlen, who's written many books, and I was surprised to hear that if she spends a couple of years or more writing a book, she then sends it off to be edited, edited, the whole business, and then after that spends 4 to 6 months incorporating all of those changes. It is, to me, such a long distance run to do, to write a good book and to actually have it turn up as yours has, in great shape.
That's absolutely the case. I have a friend who published a book, and she's recently published another book, and she warned me. She said that publishing is very slow. It's a slow process, so you have to be prepared for that. When my book got picked up, it was actually 2020. I had, the pandemic hits, I'm home, and I said to myself, I'm going to finish this now. I don't have to get on the train to go to work.
Right.
So I'm going to take the time and I'm going to finish it. And I finished. And I handed it off to a friend who handed it off to HarperCollins, and that was a wait. Just hearing back was like months and months and months. Then I hear back that they wanted to buy the book. And with that comes, as you said, edits. They have suggestions, things that they want to see. And sometimes you nail it and sometimes you don't. So luckily for me, I had been with this story for so many years. So the suggestions that they gave me, I was able to really dive in and get it done quickly. So this started in 2020, and as you can see, we're in 2022.
Right, which is pretty fast as it goes. And I know that when the book was bought, it actually made the, literary news. I was like, good heavens, that's our Abby, Patience is a Subtle Thief has been picked up by HarperCollins.
Yeah.
So, we are thrilled. Let's talk a little bit about your the basic experience in history. You're out of journalism, out of City University J School.
Yes.
And so that career to book writing. Talk a little bit about. You've had some success. I know we had a wonderful experience doing a documentary about the African American Museum.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Oh no, you were just a fantastic producer on on that.
Thank you.
So that was your journalism experience. But from J School to CUNY to book writing, how that path. Talk to us a little bit about.
It's funny you ask because I started writing it before I started J School. So once I started J School, and as many writers have expressed, you go through this phase or phases of self-doubt. You feel like your writing stinks. Nobody's going to read this. What is this? And when I got into J School and I finished, I'm like, I'm a journalist now. I don't need to write a book. I kind of lied to myself as if I didn't want to do it, but I always wanted to do it. So I give my husband a lot of credit because he kept saying, no, you need to finish, you need to finish, you need to finish. So I realized that being a journalist obviously doesn't mean I can't write a novel. Lots of journalists have written novels, and of course there's the historical aspect, and I love research and I love looking back into history. So I was able to incorporate that side of myself into this novel too. So.
Great. Well, I told you before we started that I was going to ask you about the Woke 100, you
Yes.
know. I mean, you were deemed to be sophisticated and aware and whatever. Talk to us about what that experience was. Yeah.
Well, the Beyond Classically Beautiful movement started after the New York Times published an article where the writer called Viola Davis less classically beautiful than Halle Berry. And as you know, that's steeped in colorism, right? And for me, it resonated with me in a different way because I experienced colorism as a dark-skinned woman, and I know that light-skinned women experience it in other ways as well. So I went on Twitter. I wanted to see what the women were talking about, what Black women were saying, and a lot were using the hashtag less classically beautiful in solidarity with Viola Davis. And for me, it just didn't sit well with me because I didn't like us having to adopt that. So Beyond Classically Beautiful popped into my head. So I just told my husband, who's a great photographer, let's take some pictures of Black women of all shades. Let's celebrate Black beauty. And let's, kind of put an end to this less classically beautiful idea. And when we did it, I wasn't expecting anything, but it went viral and it did very well. And then I turned it into a media site and then eventually a lifestyle brand where we create sweatshirts and t-shirts with different slogans celebrating Black women. So Essence, being the great magazine that it is, honored me as one of the Woke 100 women at the time, at 2017, which was a great honor.
Yes, absolutely, definitely well deserved.
Thank you.
And do you think we've made much progress, any progress since that insult? Where do you think we are today?
I don't think we've made progress necessarily, but where I think that individually we have to make progress, we have to decide who we are. We have to define who we are for ourselves and not allow society or European standards of beauty to define how we feel about ourselves. And also to stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to be outwardly beautiful. I mean, of course, we want to show up, beautiful, but not everyone has the assignment to be this gorgeous person, I always bring up this example of, when they wanted to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, some people were upset because the photo, they felt like she wasn't beautiful in the photo. And I'm like, she was a freedom fighter. She was a slave. She didn't have to be beautiful. She had bigger things to do at the time. So I think that we tend to put pressure on ourselves, and then obviously that comes from society and it comes from colorism, which comes from racism. So we have a long way to go, but I think individually we have to work on how we feel about ourselves.
Right, this the whole idea of, as we have discussed, here at Black America, the representation, that's absolutely, essential.
Yeah.
So you've made it through the book world, you've also done television. Talk to us about where you think more progress has been made. Publishing, is a tough, tough nut to crack, which
Yeah.
you have, which you have done and gotten great reviews, and they put you on the must-read list if you're interested in geopolitical suspense,
Wow.
whatever,
Yeah.
that list, so having made it through that.
Yeah. It's, I'm still in awe of this whole experience because when you write a book, you really don't know what to expect. But for me, it was something that I wanted for so long, and it was something I wanted to complete. And I feel like it stayed on my back, and I felt like I couldn't really move forward sometimes. I felt like I held myself back a lot because I was trying to finish this thing. So now I tell people, if you have something you need to do it because it will become a burden in your life. So now being here, I'm in awe because my goal was just to finish and to have a few people maybe read it and give me some feedback, and maybe it'll be published.
This is a big book. This
I
is a
know.
big book.
I
Yeah,
know.
I can't wait for the movie.
I hope so. Yeah, me too.
That's great. Well, now you have two children, a daughter and a son, raising them in America, with Nigerian heritage, you and your husband.
Yeah.
Negotiating that, talk to us about how you negotiate that. And has your daughter yet? I mean, my grandchildren are watching an awful lot of Kardashian stuff now. They're 13 and not. I mean, it's like I've never seen the show, but
Yeah.
now I've seen a lot of it. I
Wow.
mean, what does, raising children in America with African roots, how do you negotiate that?
I have to do a deep sigh because I was raised in America, born and raised in America with Nigerian parents, and it was a struggle. So, of course, having children, for me, I'm constantly thinking about, I hope she doesn't have to struggle the way I did. But at the same time, I want her to, especially my daughter, because she's older, I want her to understand that she has this rich culture, rich history, rich heritage. So, for example, when she was born, we named her Naomi. She was born very early, so my husband and I hadn't figured out the name situation right away.
Right.
So, and we gave her a Nigerian middle name. So as time went on, we were calling her by her Nigerian name. And her first name, she would go to school when she started elementary school, and they would call her Naomi. And I just felt like, it just felt so foreign, and it didn't feel like her. Mm-hmm. So I ended up changing her name. We changed her name to flip it to... So I've had to explain to her a lot about why, and I ask her all the time, what do you feel your name is? And she always says her name is her Nigerian name because she's more connected to it. So, we've had to explain to her not hide behind this, palatable name in America, and to, appreciate her roots. So that's just one example. And so it's quite difficult. Yeah.
So have you started vision boarding with your daughter yet at all?
I try to. We have
our producer here is saying, be sure to ask Abby about her vision boards because it got her from there to big book. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Audra saw the vision board. But yes, I did start doing vision boarding for around the book and then my life. And I've showed my daughter the concept, but she's 8 years old. So in her mind, it's like, I'll just write my Christmas list. And that's her idea of a vision board.
Mine too,
Yeah. So she hasn't gotten to that point where she's like, let me cut this photo out and make sure I visualize getting this thing. So her concept is different. But I try to do affirmations with her. Right. We have a book of affirmations, and I try to do that with my son too, now that he's 4. So.
And you do that how often? What is the process for?
Well, we do it actually sporadically. We don't have a routine like, oh, every morning I want you to say this. But sometimes at bedtime we'll say it, or sometimes when we're in the car driving and we're talking, I'll explain it to her again. And, randomly, like I feel like the pandemic happened and a lot of things went out the window. And then now she's like, Mom, what's an affirmation again? I'm like, you don't remember? So we've started back.
Right.
So, yeah.
So now your vision boarding. Well, I'm curious to know you actually cut out pictures from magazines and put it up and say, this is me in the future?
Well, what I do is I go online and I type in exactly what it is that I want on my vision board. I cut it out, post it on the vision board. And I think what our producer or your producer is referring to, I visualized finishing the book, doing a book signing, and I put up like a little template of what the book cover would be. And I also had HarperCollins' logo on my vision board because
Wow.
I was one of the publishers that I was hoping to land with. And it happened. So I do believe in visualization. It worked for me. So yeah,
Right. And I know that you're already working on another book.
I am.
Talk to us, well, not to give away any secrets or anything before,
Yeah.
before it's picked up and in the news, but
Yeah.
What's-
What I will say is this time it's exploring a young girl who has Nigerian parents and she's growing up in America. So it's a little different. It doesn't take place in Nigeria. So it's probably mirroring my story a little bit more. But of course, I'm using a lot of inspiration from people that I know that I've grown up with and things that I've seen along the way. So
well, we'll be looking for that, you know. And in terms of your writers that you know, would say this was inspirational, you know, I love this, this is who I want to be, anything like that in your...
Well, I would say Nana Bruhaman. I want to speak her name first because she was one of the first writers that made me feel like I can do this. And she's also the friend of mine that, you know, read my work and was very instrumental in me being here. And also Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think a lot of African writers or African American writers have looked to her because of the success she's had with contemporary stories about Africans and it doing well in America. So she's had a remarkable career as well. And there's so many African authors coming up that I admire so much.
I think they won all of the literature prizes, right?
Yeah. It's outstanding what's happening now. And it's great to feel like I'm a part of this thing or becoming a part of this thing. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. No, it's a fresh new voice, you know, and a great writer. So talk to us about what, after somebody has read your book and has been thrilled with the writing and the story and all, what do you want them to walk away with?
Well, I want people to walk away with obviously the different themes that take place in this book. Understanding the human aspect of people living in Africa, living in Nigeria, who may not have a lot, who may not be connected. Privilege is a big theme in this. Obviously, the political aspect in Nigeria, things are not good right now. So I want people to kind of think about what's happening now and how the young people there now are speaking up more. And also that, you know, young girls and young women should be able to have more of a voice in their lives and be able to steer their lives in the direction that they see fit. So that was a big one for me too.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the questions that we always used to ask on Black America was the power, the strength of Black America. How would you answer that question? We want you in the book.
I would say it relies in our resilience, being able to overcome circumstances and being able to push forward no matter what, you know, you face, no matter what family you were born into, no matter what happened to you along the way, knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that there is, you know, a better way as well. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad we have you down. You know, remember every show, you know, when
Yes.
he was a producer.
Yes, that question is a loaded question. I asked Audra, I'm like, are you going to ask me that one? She said, maybe, we'll see. So.
Right. No. And you answered it so well. Well,
Thank
Abby,
you.
thank you so much
Thank you for having me, Carol.
for being here today. We are so thrilled. Our baby is all grown up, has babies, and has a baby book.
Thank you.
And we're so proud of you. It's Patience is a Subtle Thief, HarperCollins. Be sure to get it. Be sure to read it. And I hear that the audio version is also quite good. You're happy with?
Yes, I love the woman who narrated it. So,
Okay,
yes.
great. So if you like your books that way, you can do it. You can also find out more about Abby on her website, aishola.com. Thank you so much, Abby.
Thanks, Carol.
And thank you all for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and we will see you the next time.